you've been on the channel here for some time, you would know that I have some strong feelings about Ayaka. I know I'm gonna piss some people off by saying that I don't like her, but that doesn't mean I think she's terrible. She's far from that. But just hear me out before you go into the comments, alright? I know you guys do that. Anyways, sub and like if you enjoyed. It would really mean a lot if we could reach 3k subs soon. And maybe 10k for something special. Thanks guys, I really appreciate it. Let's get straight to the point. Ayaka is arguably the best main DPS for any freeze team because of her consistently fast cryo application and ridiculously good burst. I don't think this is a hot take, but I think Ayaka outside of freeze is kind of pointless, unless it's for DPS phases against bosses, which isn't always going to happen for any Abyss cycle. There are many reasons why freeze is her best team, so let's go over them briefly. Freeze is undoubtedly the best team for crowd control in the game. Being able to prevent enemy movement is just basically guaranteed damage. There's no risk of taking much damage in these teams, so you technically don't need to run a defensive character because the freeze reaction is your defense. You don't really need a healer for this. Ayaka has one of the highest damaging burst and the fastest cryo application in the entire game, at least for a few seconds. Freeze teams take advantage of her burst very well because it can often push enemies away if their movement isn't being stopped. It allows her burst to do all of its damage without worry. It's very easy to build into Ayaka's damage with Blizzard Strayer, or dare I say, even Emblem. Now that's actually something I actually really want to try out. The reason why Blizzard is too good for Ayaka is that it essentially gives 40 free crit rate to the wielder just for using them in a freeze team. Since you often run 2 cryo characters in a freeze team, you basically have 60 free crit rate to work around. You have 15 from the cryo resonance, 40 from Blizzard Strayer, and 5 from natural crit rate. This allows you to focus on more crit damage and makes building Ayaka a lot easier because you can just focus on that instead of worrying about crit rate. And the reason why Blizzard is just so much better compared to Emblem or even Noblesse is that it buffs all of Ayaka's damage. I honestly used to think Ayaka's damage outside of her burst was kind of whatever, but after seeing it for myself, it's actually a lot better than what I thought. It's nothing compared to her burst damage, but it's far from bad.
Wow, Freeze, that's a lot of praise for Ayaka coming from you.
I know, it makes me sick. Here's where I think Ayaka starts to lose value. As much as I do think Ayaka's good, she isn't a flawless character. A lot of Ayaka's kit is centered around freeze teams, and if you can't freeze the enemies, her kit loses value. Every boss in the game cannot be frozen or crowd controlled. They will be able to move regardless of what you do. Her burst can potentially miss if the rotation wasn't timed well enough. Half of the crit rate given by Blizzard is gone because one of the conditions to use the set is to hit a frozen enemy, which can lead into a loss of damage. The gap between 100 crit rate and 80 crit rate, or 80 crit rate to 60 crit rate, is very noticeable. It loses consistency. I'm not saying that she sucks in boss fights, she just loses a lot of value in them. Ayaka has been proven to still be very good in boss fights. Losing value and being a bad character are two completely different things. Let me clear that up. But what I'm saying is that if her role as a crowd controlling main DPS, quote unquote, is partially gone during a boss fight, which very often occurs in Abyss, she loses a lot of value there because there are many other characters that can do a better job. She loses a lot of value there because a lot of characters can do that job, if not better. Freeze reactions isn't exactly known for how much damage it provides. If you want damage, there are more reactions that can do a better job. Does this mean freeze is a bad reaction? No, absolutely not. It's far from being terrible. It's a very comfy team to use, I will admit. But why use a freeze team over any other potential high damaging team that already has good crowd control? Who needs crowd control when you can just kill them really fast? That was obviously a joke. That's just my take on why I think Ayaka is just slowly falling out of the meta. I think she's a very good character, and I know I do make a lot of fun of her. She will most likely be able to clear content very well in the future. But as more and more characters get released, I do think she will slowly get overshadowed in the future by newer characters. And yeah, if you're wondering why I just don't like Ayaka as a whole, I personally just don't like anything about her. I don't like using freeze teams, I think her dash feels clunky, and I just don't like her character as a whole. I also just don't like how her burst can occasionally miss. That one is a little personal because I use Hula. Anyways, thanks for watching guys. Remember to sub and like if you haven't. It would really mean a lot if we could reach 3k or potentially 10k subs for something special. Have a good night and day wherever you're at, and I'll see you all next time. Peace and take care guys.